200 pounds. Why 200 pounds? And the road back to 200 pounds. For those of you who don't know, I have a completely ruptured pectoral tendon that separated, that had to have surgery 3.5 years ago. And I haven't benched really at all since then. And I decided, I was on the pursuit to bodybuilding, but decided, you know what, I kind of want to regain some of my strength, because the heavier I can lift, the more reps I can do with heavier weights, and a stronger muscle can be a bigger muscle, especially if you're pushing heavier loads. So I decided, let me focus on some of my strength and getting back some of that strength that I lost. So the goal is to, now I was on a 12-week weight loss journey thing, and I was like, journey, right? I was pursuing losing weight for the next 12 weeks, but then I decided in the middle, like actually about like 3 weeks in, like I'm still focusing on weight loss with the dieting, but I'm gonna start focusing on strength with the workouts, because I'm just more passionate about powerlifting. I like powerlifting way more than bodybuilding style workouts. Bodybuilding, it's not that it's bad, it's just personally, I don't get a lot of joy out of it, so I prefer to do this style of training. So I'm trying to build my chest back up to a 200-pound bench press, and then hopefully I could get back to the point where I can start doing dumbbell press with the 100-pound dumbbells and start using more weight for the bodybuilding, for those of you who are curious. So tonight, for our bench press, we are working up to, well, that doesn't matter because all my numbers are screwed. I forgot that the programming wasn't quite what it needed to be in the beginning, so I made it audible. Okay, so I made a 15-pound jump last week, and I did, well, the week before last, I did 150 for 5. So I think tonight, 165 for 5 might be doable. Maybe it'll be doable. And I'm taking my time with this too. I'm not rushing it. I'm gonna see how close I could get to 200 in the next, well, this is week 7. In the next 5 weeks after this, I'm gonna see how close I could get to 200. If I don't quite reach 200, I'm okay with that, because I'm just gonna set up another program and go again. And I'm not in a rush to get hurt or re-injure or tear my pec. I know it's been 3.5 years, but it's only held together by scar tissue. So because of that, I'm not like, yeah, let's push the throttle on this and really cause some damage. I'm gonna take my time, ease into it. And the warm-ups, I spend a little bit more time on the warm-ups than I used to, especially because of back then, I didn't really, well, make these tiny little jumps. It was always like much larger jumps. But I'm going to really take my time warming up, and I'm benching with a close grip bench now. So back then I would make much larger jumps between sets because of, well, I could, right? I was stronger, I was healthy, I had no injuries, there was nothing wrong with me, and I can make much larger jumps. But now that I have this injury, I'm gonna take my time warming up, and I'm gonna really like warm up. I can't jump like I used to jump and make larger ones because I don't know how my pec's gonna handle it. So gotta bear with me. It's very small jumps in the warm up. Like I said, I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a rush. I want to make sure that scar tissue and everything in there is moving correctly and everything's kind of lining up right and everything's going according to plan. So I'll make bigger jumps here in a minute than 10 pounds a set. But for right now, I'm going to make tiny little jumps just to warm everything up in that area. And I do some warm up stuff on some cables before I even start benching, but still, nothing warms you up for a bench like just benching. And my grip is different too, because back then I would have I guess what you would call like a normal grip width. Like I would grab my ring fingers, my middle fingers right on the knurling rings. So I had a pretty wide, not really wide, but wider than I do now. But now I grab a what I would consider a close grip bench compared to what I used to do, because I can't go wide no more. If I go outside the shoulder width, I put too much pressure on that tendon. But if I come with a close grip into here, it changes the pull on that tendon, and it puts more of the stress on the triceps and the shoulders than it does on that pectoral tendon. And I'm not trying to re-injure that, so I'll make adjustments as I can. Yeah, let's go with a 10. So I've had to change a lot of stuff up in order to be able to bench again. Plus, it's also taken me a long time to kind of get out of my own head and get out of the whole mindset of like, if I lay under a barbell, it's going to tear. Doctor told me give it about 2 years before I try benching. It's been 3.5, so it's like, all right, let me give it a go. And hopefully I can inch my way back up to 200 pounds. Actually, I would like 225. 225 would be, in my mind, a respectable number to build a bench for reps. And if I could get back to like 225 for 10, I'll be really content with that. I think 225 for 10 would be pretty respectable. I'm not saying 135 isn't respectable. I mean, anything you could bench is respectable. Coming back from an injury where I literally couldn't even bench the barbell, it's a big change of mindset. Like, I have a hard time looking at like what I do right now versus what I could do, because I always look back at well, this is what I used to do, and man, I'm not like how I used to be. And it's always like compensation in my mind. I'm always trying to like cope with it. But to be honest, like, the mindset really needs to shift to like, benching 135 is a lot better than benching no 35, because after that injury, like I couldn't even do the barbell. So it's just kind of like I need a little humbling every now and then on my own self, and kind of get out of my head about like, oh, you're weak and pathetic and you're pitiful, and there's no point of even attempting to ever do this again because you're never going to be half of what you were. But with that type of mindset, it's just like, it's like poison the well, So kind of get out of that mindset. I had to get out of that mindset and just be grateful of the weights that I can lift versus what I was able to do for the last couple years, which was pretty much nothing. I've worked on the dumbbells. I've worked up to the 70s is the heaviest I've gone on dumbbells. I can't remember the exact reps I did, maybe 10 or 15 on the 75-pound dumbbells, so it's 150 pounds total. And that kind of gave me a little bit of confidence to kind of start wanting to bench again a while back, but I still never did. So it's one of those things where it's like, it takes time to get over that fear. I'm going to put a 10. And clearly we're moving quick through this because it's not a lot of weight, not delusional. It's very lightweight, so there's no point in taking a whole ton of rest between these sets. We're not doing a lot of rest, and we're not doing a lot of reps either, so it's not like I need 7-8 minutes between sets. Yeah, just trying to be thankful about what I can do. I'm sure I look bloated right now. Every day, man, at this time of day, I bloat real bad because I take my vitamins and minerals and my little multivitamin pack stuff and drink my coffee and eat my last meal of the day. And man, that combination just always bloats me, which bloat's not bad for powerlifting. It's kind of like you encourage the bloat, more internal pressure, more powerful output. Now I'm going to slow down a little bit, take a little bit more rest, just a little bit more than what I was doing, not a lot, but I'm not going to jump back and forth to it. Also, we're going to do some board press tonight after our actual bench pressing, kind of let our body get ready for the next heavy week, which won't be next week, it'll be the week after. So after this, we will do a little bit of board pressing. And every time I lay under the barbell, man, it's always in the back of my mind about my pec, like it's going to tear, it's going to tear, it's going to tear, it's going to tear, it's going to tear. It's going to rip, it's going to rip, it's going to rip, it's going to rip. That fear is just always, 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 always there in the back of my mind. And it's not the pain that scares me, it's the downtime. It's the not being able to work out for a long time and having to have surgery and the recovery and all the limitations that you have that comes with the injury like that. That's the part. The rip was fast. Real rip. It felt like Velcro tearing apart. And then like it was probably 2-3 minutes after that, the swelling started. That was pretty painful, but it wasn't unbearable. It just felt like a lot of pressure and it's stinging, like a stinging pressure kind of feel. And then it was just a dumb, like a dull pressure like feeling from there out until I got surgery and stuff. So the pain wasn't bad. I mean, out of 1 out of 10, honestly, it was probably like a 4 to 5. Like it felt worse. The feeling of it tearing was a horrible feeling. It wasn't like it was painful, like, oh my God, it's brutally painful. That wasn't the issue. It felt really weird. It's more along the lines of what it was, kind of like unsettling. And then the downtime was just terrible. That was probably the worst part, having to wait and rest and recover and not really be able to do anything. It took a while before that actually sunk in too, that I wasn't going to be able to like lift like this anymore. The oppression was real. Yeah, 150. Let's go with a 5 and a 2.5. I'm gonna do this for a triple. And then our next one will be our top set. We'll go to 165. We'll do a 15-pound jump and do 165 for 5. At least try. For me, I'll try. 165 for 5. Oh man, it is a huge mental thing too, coming back from something like this. And I don't expect to ever bench what I benched before, but like I said, if I could get at least back to 225 for reps, man, I'd be really happy. I feel like if you can bench 225 for 10, you'll have a decent chest. Like I don't know anybody that I've ever seen that can control 225 for a solid 10 that had like a bird's chest or whatever, like a bird cage chest, however you want to call it, you know. I don't think I've ever recalled anyone being able to bench 225 for solid reps, not half reps, not partial reps, but a solid 225 that had a smaller chest. So if I could get back, like I said, to benching 225 for reps, I could work my way back up to the 100s on the dumbbells for reps. And that's just going to give me better hypertrophy, because I feel like lifting heavier loads for higher volume is way superior. I don't care how slow you go, how long you stretch your muscle, how long you pause, how slow you contract it, how hard you squeeze it. I don't care. Like if you're not using a significant weight, it's not going to produce the same results as it would if you're using a weight. Like I truly believe like squatting or even benching at a pace like this with a heavy load is far superior than dumbbell flying like this. Right, I'm sorry, but 30-pound dumbbells lifting slow and stretched like that isn't going to develop your chest like benching 275 for 10 to 12 like this. It's just not. The bigger loads are going to create bigger muscles. Call it bro science all you want, but I'm not saying sets of 3 to 5. I know that's not hypertrophy. You're not going to build up a lot of size doing sets of 3 to 5, but if you could get up to that 10 to 12 rep range with heavier weights, you're going to be a lot bigger than someone that can lift lighter weights slower. Because the guy lifting heavier weights, I promise you, can lift lighter weights way slower and more controlled than the guy that's struggling with the lighter weights. And you don't need to be a science engineer or have a science degree to know that. Like if someone's struggling doing dumbbell press slow and controlled with 30-pound dumbbells, I don't care how deep the stretch is and how long the pause is, versus someone who can do 275, 315 on the bench for a set of 10 to 12, what do you think he can go slow with on the dumbbells? You think he's going to use the 30s? No, he could probably use the 70s, 80s, or 90s. Who do you think is going to have the better developed chest? The guy that can handle more weight with more reps, or the guy who's going super slow with super light weight? It's just common sense. And then you say, oh, the argument of, well, bodybuilders lift lightweight, and bodybuilders are smaller than powerlifters when it comes to muscle because the hypertrophy training is different. Yes, that is 100% correct. But if you can develop a stronger physique and do more volume with that stronger physique, you're going to get bigger, because they're like the best bodybuilders are incredibly strong. Like I say it all the time, like yeah, they may not be pushing like 500-600 pounds in the bench press, but anyone doing 315 for 10, 15 on the bench for reps is not a weak individual. Right, because well, we did 50 last time, so I want to jump 15 pounds. I want to jump 15 because this will be, because we have 50, so 35, 45, 55, 60. That's 60 because of, hold on, 35, 45, 55, 65. So that's 65, and then because we went 135, 150, then we go 165, and then we'll have, I think, 2 more heavy sessions, right? Because if you look up there, today was actually supposed to be 155. So we have we have 2 more heavy sessions after today. So if we go up another 15 pounds next week, that would be 175 and then 195. So I'm going to jump by 15.
260 or 265?
165. Yes, jump by 15 pounds from 150 to 165. So it should be a 10 and a 5. Yeah. So a 15-pound jump from last week going heavy. And right now my anxiety is it's through the roof right now. I'm like, let me get the belt, let me wrist strap up, and let me get locked in there. It's not adrenaline I'm feeling right now. It's pure, undeniable fear. Just straight fear. I was like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing this. This isn't smart. This is incredibly stupid. All you're doing is putting yourself in the line of injury for no reason. You're risking something for something that doesn't matter. Bench press doesn't matter. You're never going to bench anything ever remotely close to being respectable again. So why even do this? Just stick to the dumbbells and cables. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Quit. But then there's that little voice in my head like, do it. Just do it. Do it. And that little voice normally always wins, you know, the intrusive thoughts. And my mindset when I was younger, I loved it before I ever had an injury, because my mindset, I don't care how heavy it was, the mindset was always like, what's the worst that could happen? You lift it, shoot, now you're going to have to go heavier next time. That's the absolute worst that could happen. Worst case scenario is you lift it, because then you're going to have to go heavier. If you can't lift it, then guess what? You get to try it again next week until you can. Then once you do it, then you're going to have to go heavier. Worst case scenario. And now I'm like, well, you know, there's a couple of worse scenarios, couple of scenarios not so grand, you know, like completely wrecking your stuff and snap, crackle, pop, and things going awry and all that good jazz. All right, let me get in there. Let me get my mindset in there. Come on. Come on, you weakling. Okay. Come on. Oh man, that was so terrifying. Oh, I did it. It felt good though. I never felt any discomfort. Nothing in the pec, nothing in the shoulder. The whole area felt great. Nothing, I didn't feel anything in it at all. No pumping, no straining, but that's how it is. Like I don't feel nothing till it's like, it's a failure, and then it just feels like a straight up cramp. It just feels like pure cramping once it fails, you know, so. Whew, man, what an adrenaline rush. What a adrenaline rush that was. Yeah, that was definitely a lot of doubt and fear in my head on that one. Let's add a 5 on there. We'll jump it by 10. And I think next week, I don't think I'm going to jump 15, because I'm not going to lie, that kind of scared me. Kind of not a big surprise there, kind of been saying that. But like, I think what I'm going to do next week is probably jump it by 5. And I think from here on out, my heavy weeks, I'm only going to go up by 5 pounds from the previous, because going up by 15 pounds a week is what I want, because I really wanted to bench like 200 by the end of this. But at the same time, I kind of got to really be realistic. Like, I don't know, I know it's been 3.5 years, but I don't know truly how strong that connective tissue is with that scar tissue on my pec. So I'd rather play it safe and jump by 5 pounds every other week and take my sweet time building back up and be able to do it without injury versus trying to rush it. It's been 3.5 years since I've benched right now. So like, what's another 6 months to get back to where I want to be, and taking my time, being safe about it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it a lot safer, which isn't what I want, but I got to check myself because, like I said, it's not a huge rush. I just want to get back there, and it doesn't matter how long it takes me. And this also gives me something to really push hard to get. It's something that I can build into, where it's not just like, okay, I'm there, now let's go for 250, now let's go for 270, and then I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that I'm playing it erring on the side of caution.
300 by next year.
Yeah, I would love that, but realistically, all right. I'm just going to do this for a double. Nope, a triple. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do that for a triple. That feels good. We'll do 3 sets at 3. And that 165 for 5, I'm pretty sure that's the most I've benched, because I've played around on bench before in the last 3 years, here and there a little bit, but nothing crazy serious. And I'm pretty sure if you go far enough back on the channel, I was benching with the football bar one time, but I don't remember how much I went up on the football bar. I don't know how much I went up to it, but I don't think it was that much a weight. I don't think it was 165. I can't honestly remember what the heaviest I've gone, so I'll just call 165 for 5 the heaviest with the most reps I've done since my surgery. Well, unless you want to include this board press for 175. But yeah, it's the downtime that scares me, man. Like, just being like helpless. Okay. And also, I'm much lighter than I was when I used to bench, and I'm using a much closer grip. But even still, I used to close grip bench on my light nights for as many reps as possible. And what I would do as many reps as possible with a close grip, I would do 225 for like sets of 20, 25, 30. I think the most I ever did was like 255 for like 20 on a close grip bench with a pause. So I can't use as an excuse like, oh, well, I'm lighter now than I was then, and I'm using a close grip bench. But I've used a close grip bench whenever I used to powerlift 2 for my accessory work. So it's just only so long without getting to use a muscle, And the fear is a huge thing too. I mean, that's probably like 95% of it is just being afraid to re-injure it. Very good. Even though his name is Richard, it should have been Robert, so we could call him Bob. Since my name's Justin, you could call me Jay. And we could call this Jay and Silent Bob work out. Because he's a man of many words. All right, well, that's it for our bench. Now, after this, I'm going to move on to my assistance work. I'm not going to record none of that because we're going to do dumbbell press, incline dumbbell press, low cable crossover for 5 sets of 20. And then we're going to do V-bar press down for 5 sets of 20. And then we're going to do side laterals, front laterals, bent over laterals for 5 sets of 20. So it's a whole lot of fluff and puff work after this. I'm just trying to introduce my movements back for strength, and then I'm going to build up the muscle volume and the size and endurance and conditioning by a ton of bodybuilding movements. And that's what I'm going to do. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.